Okay, the stream is live. I hope they can hear me.
Mm-hmm. So we're ready to go?
Yep.
Oh, cool. Okay.
In,
Okay, go ahead.
In 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Nintendo Dads episode 190, recorded today, August 2nd, 2018. On tonight's episode, we're going to be discussing the fact that Nintendo sells a lot of consoles. They've also want to sell us a little bit more Labo. And of course, maybe you won't require an online subscription for some of those games you like playing. Plus, Gary Gray is going to talk about his amazing time over in London at the Nintendo versus competition, where he's got hands-on with lots of stuff. That and so much more, plus your questions. Hey, Jesse, cue that sweet, sweet music, would you? Yes, everyone, welcome. This is the Nintendo Dads podcast, or as I like to call it, Morning Dance-a-thon. Gary, thank you very much for busting those moves out. I do appreciate it. And of course, with me are two of the best co-hosts in all of the internet and the webs. First, I'm going to hand it over to the Lord King, the man behind the dashboard, the person who makes everything go bump on this podcast, Mr. Jesse Waldeck. Sir, how are you today?
I am so glad everything's working. Not 100% working because I can't hear the music.
Sure. I'm going to tell you it's working, though. It sounds fantastic. Jesse, for those of you that don't know, has spent the last several hours reconfiguring our setup so we get some amazing inline music. It makes the podcast sound so much smoother and fantastic. So, Jesse, we appreciate it. But how are things going other than getting that going?
Things are good. I'm kind of glad vacation's over and getting back into the normal things of things.
Things of things. I love it. Being a man who never takes a vacation, I don't actually fully know that at all. I appreciate it, though. Fellow European, I guess I would say officially first, welcome to the podcast, Gary. You and I have not been together. We're having a cup of tea together, a cuppa. Cheers to you, sir, in your Bambi teacup. We haven't been on the podcast officially together yet since joining us, but welcome. What's going on with you at 4 a.m. your time?
Yeah, not a lot, to be honest. It's pretty quiet, pretty dark, the usual. But yeah, I mean, it's the first time we've been together since I've joined. So it's let's do this, Justin. Let's do this.
Yes, I appreciate your enthusiasm. It brings me up. That and the large bowl of Nintendo Mario cereal I ate, with full of sugar, will help me bring that up.
Jealous.
All right. Yes, we got some cool news items. We're gonna jump right into it, folks. Let's jump into the news, shall we, Jesse? You got a bumper for that one, don't you? Awesome. Jesse, let's fade out the other music if you could. There was a little bit of overlap. That's okay. No, that's fair. All right. And Gary, of course, the news is brought to us over by patreon.com. Gary, anything that we want to talk about for Patreon? Anything exciting that's going on that maybe we can promote?
Yeah, we've changed some of the tiers for the Patreon. So now if you're as little as $1 a month, you can get in on the conversation.
I would change that to if you're as much as $1 a month.
As much as?
Yes, because there's no little dollars. We appreciate every dollar.
Yes. Yes, we do indeed. And yeah, Patreon pretty much changes the world. I mean, it's part of the reason why I'm here. So yeah, it really helps out, and it's good to have those doors wide open for more people to come in and have a chat with us and just generally spend some good times.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Gary's right. We have made some changes to our Patreon setup, and now for as much as $1 a month, you can get into our Nintendo Dads Discord chat, and there are a ton of people in there now hanging out, chatting about Nintendo geeky goodness, everything. And I do want to shout out to a couple of our new patrons, Chris Greaves, who edited his Patreon pledge. We greatly appreciate that. By the way, Chris is a local man to Ireland. I believe he's in the city of Cork. So fantastic, Chris. We appreciate that. And I just want to go through another list because I think we missed a couple people because we've been gone for a week. Efren Gonzalez, thank you. Gonzalez, thank you very much. TJ, thank you so much as well. And Andrew, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for supporting us over on patreon.com. We greatly, greatly appreciate that. Lots of information there, guys. You should have received if you are currently a Patreon supporter, you received an email yesterday about making changes. And I do want to say one thing about those changes that we've made to Patreon for people who are listening. the rest of you that aren't listening, aren't on Patreon, that's okay. Just give us a couple seconds. We want to talk about this. I want to have a huge shout out to the man who made those changes possible, and that's Mr. Timothy Alf, who is our Nintendo Dads Patreon community manager. And he was working behind the scenes for almost an entire day to make all those changes occur, to help us streamline the process. And actually, it was Timothy that brought up some of the huge suggestions that are making it even better for our community. So Tim, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate everything you do. We couldn't, this ship couldn't run without Tim either. So he's awesome. But enough about how we pay for the show and do the show. Let's just jump right into it, shall we? Jesse, you got some new news items in here that piqued my interest, because I thought, man, this feels like a Jesse conversation. Jesse, Nintendo be selling a lot of stuff. They be making some money, right?
That's what I'm hearing.
That's what you're hearing. Awesome. I appreciate that. Do you have any breakdown on, because Nintendo releases their Q2 2018 statements, and there were some kind of big nuggets in there. You're a numbers man, which I appreciate. Do you got anything there you want to kind of pull out and talk about? Because they're just about 20 million units sold now for the Nintendo Switch. This was as of effective the Q2 results, correct?
I believe so. In fact, I actually haven't had a chance to look at this news article you posted yet.
Okay.
So
okay. Well, let's maybe jump in there.
You tell me, and then I'll see what I think about it.
Okay. This is good stuff, folks. This is good stuff. Bear with me 1 second. I'm going to grab the news articles here. All right, or grab the results. While I do that, let me ask you this, guys. So here's what I will say as I'm grabbing that stuff. Kind of a swift turn of topic here. NPD numbers came out, showed that the most consoles sold for June, ladies and gentlemen, was by Nintendo, but it was actually the NES Classic. What do you guys think of that? Is that surprised by that?
Not really. It's it's a new console launch. If it's a relaunch, where they finally have numbers instead of scalping. Scalpers are the only ones who are able to get their hold of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think that it's just it's kind of one of those things. Like, is it really classed as a console? I've seen this conversation on Twitter going around, but yeah, it really is to a point. It is a console, and also, I mean, the sales were going to be good on it because they were so hard to get originally. I think people probably still have that fear that they're never going to get them again. So yeah, they've done really good with these classic lines. I kind of hope they continue.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely right. I do think they're definitely making a huge amount of progress on the classic lines, which is great. I mean, it's great for sales. Anytime Nintendo's making, I can't imagine not to be rude to Nintendo, but I can't imagine the overhead was very high on that, right? Let's put a ROM essentially into a shell, sell money, right? Like I'm sure it does well for itself.
A ROM and a shell. Isn't that what the cartridges are in the first place?
No, what? Hey, listen, sassy pants, all right? Listen. But I mean, there's probably not a lot of overhead, not a lot of lift for them, which is fantastic. So, and as I was mentioning before, I think I mentioned on Twitter, I anticipate in the next couple of weeks or by the end of August, we should be hearing what the next classic line is going to be. If history predicts itself, last year it was July, and the year before that it was June, July. So we should be suspecting something relatively soon as well.
And if it is an N64, like some of us have been guessing, I don't think everyone did, but I did do that poll back before E3 where if there was an N64 Classic, what games would you want? So I have a list of like the top 30, maybe 40 games that was mentioned that we can compare our list to their list, and we'll see how good we are or not.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I do have those numbers now. Sorry, I apologize. It took me a couple moments to get that. So the Nintendo Switch has sold, and these are as of June 30th, 2018, 19.67 million units, so just shy of the 20 million mark as well. And interestingly enough, software sales, get this. Now, this is incredible software sales. 86.93 million units for software. So that is nearly for every Switch. I mean, this is some really round up, rough math. For every Switch, there is basically 4 games sold.
Yeah, and the strange thing is that now the Switch has surpassed the Wii U's lifetime sales. The software hasn't yet.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that less units of the Wii U were sold, but the people who brought it brought more software.
Yeah, absolutely. And the unit software that you're talking about there, Gary, for the Wii U, just as a reference point, people, lifetime sales 13.56 million, and software 102.28 million. So you are right. If you bought a Wii U, you bought at this point proportionally more games, right?
Which I mean, it does make sense that it is that way around. A lot of people are shocked by it, but the Wii U was out for a longer period of time. So by the time that the Switch has been out for that same period, it should be higher. Also, probably arguably the biggest game on the Switch at the minute is free to play, which probably doesn't go into this software stats. So.
And Dubs in the chat
absolutely.
is in the same problem, if you can call it that probably all of us are. He says, then there are some anomalies like me with 20 plus games on my Switch.
You know, and I would guess that you are probably not an oddity. You are probably in the majority of people, right? And I think that this number that we're looking at here is probably more associated with kind of just the casual. I don't want to use the word casual gamer. It's a horrible term, I think. But kind of not the person who is kind of deep enthralled with every single game that comes out every single week, like we are.
Do we know if these numbers include digital and digital only, or
just says here, numbers shown are worldwide consolidated sales in units life to date. So I don't have that, unfortunately. Now, interestingly enough, though, they did compare these figures to other figures of previous systems as well. And I want to make a reference point. The Nintendo GameCube lifetime hardware is 21.74 million.
We're getting close.
We're getting real close to surpassing to definitely surpassing the GameCube. And I would suspect before the end of this year's figures come in, I think we'll probably surpass that. Software sales now with over 200 million units. Interestingly enough as well, I want to throw this little statement over there. Nintendo 3DS hardware sales, 72.89 million units.
And I think we're like 10 of them.
Yeah, exactly, right. 10 million just from this one as well.
No. I meant 10, not 10 million.
Oh. It feels like it some days, right? 72.89 million. When people ask why are they not killing the 3DS, that's why. And here's the other reason they're not. Software sales, 367.84 million. That is a huge amount of software sales for a device. So again, if we're doing some simple math, it's essentially 1 to every 5, right? 1 DS, 5 software sales.
And those figures really aren't bad for a console that had a terrible start and everybody said was doomed in the first year.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously we're speaking of sales and games playing it. Gary even playing WarioWare Gold, which we can talk about a little bit later today as well. Mm-hmm. Let's check out what our top selling titles have been. Bear with me 1 second here. No surprise here. Super Mario Odyssey still remains at that top spot, folks, at 11.17 million units, follows very closely with 10.35 million units. Now, I want to take a bit of a pause here and ask you guys. A couple weeks ago, I was off the show, and the conversation came up that, I can't remember who said it, but hey, expect more updates from Mario Kart, right? Expect more updates from Mario Kart. A couple days later, we got the Breath of the Wild cycle and Avatar in Mario Kart 8. Great update. Obviously, we know the mobile game is still scheduled to be completed by the end of Nintendo's fiscal year, but for those of you who aren't paying attention, that's going to be March 31st, 2019. Do you guys predict, or do you think we will see another Mario Kart on the Nintendo Switch, or do you think that they are going to make it a platform game, right? In that maybe in a couple months from now, we're going to see a DLC package rolled out, and they're going to kind of reinvigorate life that way. What do you think?
Jesse looks like he's deep in thought with this one. So with me, I don't see a big substantial DLC update coming. I don't see any paid DLC coming, no new tracks. I think that all we're ever going to get for Mario Kart 8 at the minute is these little cross, tie-ins to promote other games and other things. We're definitely going to get another Labo update on it with the new steering wheel from the new pack that's coming out. And I think the only way forward for Mario Kart really is a new Mario Kart. I mean, if you do another batch of DLC for 8, it kind of feels a little bit too late now. I mean, the game's 2-3 years old.
But well, here's the thing though, Gary. You're thinking it's 2 to 3 years based on Wii U, right? And this is the thing that everyone is always about. Nintendo is literally trying to scrub from our brain that the Wii U existed. Mm-hmm. We saw that in Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. They removed the 3D world stuff, right? I think that they try to almost forget they want to distance themselves from it as much as possible. So I think when they look at Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I think it's new too, right? It's new to everyone else. There is a small group of fans, and when we look at again those Wii U sales and the digital sales, it is a small group who potentially would have bought it, right? And I made the argument before that this is one of the reasons why Nintendo was able to take those first-party games that did not necessarily sell well or sell as great as they wanted to. So let's look at that Bayonetta, Donkey Kong Country, Captain Toad, and easily report them. Even with those movements over to the system, it's new to you, new to someone else. And I think when a game like Mario Kart, and despite the fact, and Gary, you are right, the game is technically old. There's no doubt, right? The original assets, the original creation of the game was years ago, right? But this is the second highest selling game on the console, 10.35 million. I mean, literally, Mario Odyssey is only beating it by just under 1 million.
Yeah, the other way you got to look at it as well is if they release too much for Mario Kart 8, it's going to dampen Mario Kart 9 if it's on the same system.
Here's my argument, Gary, is I don't think Mario Kart 9 shows up on the Switch. This Switch, I think it shows up somewhere else, some other time, a long time away, and that they feed DLC packets into this as part of the cross promotion of the mobile game that comes out in March.
Yeah, well, I could kind of see DLC coming that's tied in with the mobile, but I don't know. I just don't know about tracks and stuff like that. I really don't. I think this game is huge as it is at the minute, and I think Nintendo knows that. Yeah. So they're probably clinching onto ideas just for the next Mario Kart, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm mentally playing ping pong with myself. I'm going back and forth, seeing both points of view, and I'm not sure where I want to land on it. I think I'm probably more likely to think there won't be a 9 on the Switch. But, yes, I want to keep interest on it, but ultimately they also want more money, and there's a limit of how much money you can squeeze out of it with free DLC and just getting more people to buy the game that hasn't bought it yet.
Right, and I kind of agree with that, Jesse. So here's the thing: is I don't think it's free DLC. I think you release a $20 pack like they did before on the Wii U. That was or $15, whatever the package sale was. You get another 4 tracks. Okay, you have an install base already of 10.35 million units. So that there are 10.35 million potential clients to purchase this DLC package. Now, even if, let's say, only 50%, I wonder what the attachment rate is for DLC purchase updates. Even if the attachment rate is 50%, you have 5 million people that could potentially purchase a DLC packet for $15 or $20.
I wasn't even thinking about paid DLC, but yeah.
Oh no, it has to be paid DLC.
It does make sense, because on the other side, if they do push a 9 out on the Switch, you're just going to upset people.
I think here's the thing: they have been doling out little freebies. Guys, do you remember? Okay, I'm going to throw it back here. Do you remember in the 90s, the drug commercials, right? To stay off of drugs, and there's always the first one's free, but after that, they get you. They charge you. Do you remember that? Does anyone remember this, or is it just me?
Drugs are bad, okay?
Drugs are bad. This is your brain on drugs, that kind of stuff. The first one's free, right? So the Nintendo Labo update drew people back to Mario Kart 8 to play. The first one's free. They send out the free Championship Breath of the Wild update. Free. The next one, you got to pay, sucker. I think the next update if it's going to be a big one, it's going to be paid. They are not going to free it the entire time. They'll do some some maybe free ones. I do agree with you, Gary. If they do a Labo integration, that will be a small little free one again with Labo kit number the next one. But I believe that they're going to roll out a big, like, you got to pay, son, because almost all of their games nowadays are coming into some type of, like, let's face it, Nintendo has had a constant, has had a really aggressive DLC strategy with the Nintendo Switch. So here's the thing: is I'm looking at their lineup right now. Super Mario Odyssey, free DLC. Mario Kart 8, free DLC. Breath of the Wild, paid DLC. Splatoon, some free DLC and paid DLC. Switch, horrible game. We're not even going to talk about that. ARMS, free DLC. Yes. Kirby, free DLC. Xenoblades, paid DLC. And Mario Aces, free DLC.
Okay, so if you're the little angel on the shoulder, I'm going to be the little devil on the other one.
Yep.
Donkey Kong Country Returns, Tropical Freeze, no
Yep.
DLC.
Yep.
Bayonetta, no DLC. You can see where I'm going with this, right?
Your argument is that previous games titles will on console will not have DLC, correct?
Yeah, except I know Mario Kart has.
And the thing is, I agree with you, but Gary, I also think you're dead wrong. Because I think they look at Mario Kart 8 differently.
Because all games have never had DLC until they did.
Fair enough, right? But I think when you have sales of 10.35 million for a game that was released 5 years ago or 6 years ago, whenever this thing was released, that is a different game. That is not a, okay, sure, guys. Hey, B team, could you just shovel together some stuff on Donkey Kong and throw it out? Awesome, great. I think when you look, and they know that Mario Kart moves stuff, right? They always have. Their sales have always been good for that. I think when you have a game like that, I think that's the outlier. And Gary, I could also be completely wrong, but I do believe that game is an outlier.
Okay, so when if they did this, when would you say it'd be released by?
I'm going to say by the end of this year.
By the end of this year. Okay. So if it comes out by the end of this year, I will start the new year off full dad bod.
Yes.
A turkey hat.
Yeah.
Dad bod 2.0.
And I will call you Sir Justin. And speak in a high-pitched voice for the entire first podcast of the year.
Okay, people who are over in our chat on YouTube, you need to write this timestamp down because you need to hold Gary accountable. And also, people in our chat, I see some people joining us right now. Am I wrong? Am I crazy? Let me know in the chat on the side if we are mad.
And to set the record straight, he can be both right and crazy. So that's out there.
That's fair. That's fair. I do appreciate that. Also, just another interesting FYI, I want to bring people's attention to it. Now, again, these were results as of June 30th, 2018. Mario Tennis Aces sold 1.38 million in about 2 weeks. So well done to them. And they're just barely behind Donkey Kong Country, which was available for almost 6 to 7 weeks at 1.4 million as well. So yeah, so I think those are good. I don't know. Anything else stand out from you guys from the sales numbers here?
Yeah, ARMS did well, and I'm happy for that because I really like ARMS. I've said something on another podcast that I'm not going to say here because I don't want to upset Justin, and I've already upset Marty. So,
what did you say? Now you got to say it.
Okay, this is a really unpopular opinion. Okay.
Okay.
Just to clarify, I had a lot more fun with ARMS than I did with Mario Odyssey.
So where do we put up like help wanted signs for new podcast hosts? Anyone like, I'm just gonna, if you want to send your resume to be a new podcast host, send it to nintendodads@gmail.com. Tell me why Gary needs. So what do you mean ARMS was funner than Odyssey? We're gonna stop the podcast right now and have a conversation about this.
I enjoy new things, like new experiences. I'm the crazy person who liked Federation Force. I liked Hey Pikmin. I like the new sort of spin on things.
And this is why, Gary, we brought you on this podcast. For your unique and incredibly wrong views on everything.
And
also known as keeping Justin in check.
I enjoyed Mario Odyssey. Like, don't get me wrong. It just wasn't enough new for me, and I don't think it lived up to the hype for me personally. So it's an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, you shut your mouth. It's 11 out of 10. It's 11 out of 10.
If I have to score arms, it would still only be 7 or 8 out of 10, so it'd be lower. But me personally, I enjoyed it a lot more. I put a lot more hours in. I played the Party Crash and stuff. Mario Odyssey I didn't rack up half as many hours as I thought I would, but Arms I carried on playing. I put more hours into Arms than I did Splatoon as well.
Yeah, I would. Here's what I will say with you. I am going to agree with you on something here. I think Arms gets a lot more hate than it should. Yeah, and here's the thing: is I am busting your chops a little bit about the whole Odyssey thing. I think you're wrong there, but I really enjoyed Arms. I thought it was a great game. I don't think it gets as much credit as it deserves. It was a ton of fun. I've had fun with it. It's been a great game. I'm happy to see the sales went well. I do think there was probably a little bit of cannibalization when Splatoon came out. We've talked about that one before. I think the timing was poor. I think you probably should have actually delayed Splatoon a little bit. I think you could have. It's a tough call. But and you know what? I mean, I played Arms at that EGX event we were at and had a ton of fun. I think it's a great game. I really do. I love the character designs. I'd love to see a couple of amiibos of those guys as well. I will not argue that Arms is not a good game. It's great to see new IPs. I would have loved to see it have a bit more life though than what it ended up having, because I do think it got cannibalized. So
if anybody else agrees or disagrees with me, then jot it down in a comment, tweet to us at Nintendo Dads. We'll sort this out.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
also, I think just quickly to add on that, I think 1-2-Switch is the same. Like, people seem really shocked by those numbers, and I'm not in the slightest, because we're not all hardcore gamers, and that's something that people really need to remember, is that there is another market out there. Same for Labo as well. I mean, I know Labo was in these figures, and it was a collection thing, but still, like, 1-2-Switch really doesn't surprise me that it sold that much. Like, I enjoy it. I don't think it's the best game on the system, but still.
I think 1-2-Switch became that because of its release time at release window, became the device to kind of show, the game to show off what the device does, right? You need a demo game essentially. 1-2-Switch did that. I mean, you paired that with, again, Breath of the Wild, and I mean, it was a killer. I mean, the amount of people that I saw walk out of my GameStop or Best Buy that was near me carrying a Nintendo Switch, 1-2-Switch, and Breath of the Wild was ridiculous. So absolutely. Nintendo's doing well. This is good things for Nintendo. It's always good things for us as well. I want to move on to some other items as well. Speaking of Nintendo decisions and sales, news article came out this week that's saying free-to-play games will not require Nintendo Switch Online. Now, I don't know if this has been officially confirmed by Nintendo, but guys, what do you think of that? Free-to-play games will not require Nintendo Online service, which is, of course, coming here in September this coming month here. Now, when we think of free-to-play games, I was arguing with myself in the head. I was like, isn't every game currently free-to-play? So what would that? Would that be Fortnite? What else is free-to-play? Paladins.
Jesse's favorite Pokemon Quest.
Pokemon Quest, but is that online?
That doesn't have any online functions.
No, it's not online.
So yeah, Paladins and Fortnite. Anything else I'm missing? And I'm sure there is. Again, if you're in the comments below or comments on the YouTube side and I'm missing it, please let me know. Is there any other games?
I can't think of any.
Okay. What do you guys think of this? Free to play doesn't require the online.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. It shouldn't really require the online. If they're free to play, they're free to play. Otherwise, people are just going to move over to mobile to play them, or anywhere else that they're released and they're free, like PC. Yeah. So I think it's a stance that just needed to be happening. It's out of like kind of like a necessity.
Something that tells me that's kind of what the other consoles are doing too, but I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, Rocket League, right?
No, that's paid.
Rocket League's paid.
What? Why was Rocket League paid?
It's like $20 to buy the game.
Oh shit, you're right. Sorry. Yep. My brain's not working there. Sorry. Okay. I don't know. Do you think? I mean, let's be honest. Let's have some hashtag Dad real talk. Fortnite, biggest game right now going, right?
That's the rumor.
So the amount of times, by the way, I've seen videos of like, is Fortnite an addiction? Let's turn to the local news lady, right? Fortnite is sweeping the nation, and kids aren't doing homework. They're playing the video games. Let's go to downtown Seattle and talk to someone who's addicted to it.
To be honest, the kids just watch the dance moves. I mean, if you want to talk about gaming addictions, you need to rewind to the late 90s with me and Perfect Dark.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Like it's just which game becomes the one they throw on top of the like, you know, the stake of like you're the worst game in the world right now. Anyways, Fortnite. So I mean, it's gonna be free to play. Do you think having I mean, obviously Fortnite on the Switch is a huge thing, huge sales there, or not huge sales. Do you think that will stop people potentially from getting a online service?
I
No.
think the only people it's going to stop are the people that brought the Switch just to play Fortnite on it anyway.
Sure. Okay.
So I don't think it's like I don't think they're going to lose anything by doing that. It's just something to gain,
Yeah,
I suppose.
with
Because
Fortnite,
I mean,
with Fortnite available everywhere, that's not a system seller.
Yeah.
So, but you know, the people will want Smash,
Yep.
and the service will get its numbers.
Right. Okay. Absolutely. All right. Yeah. I mean, I thought that's interesting. Obviously, we do have the online service coming up here in September. I'm going to. I mean, I'm going to assume everyone here is going to get the online service, or is anyone going to like hold out?
Well, they get
no, I'm all in.
Yeah, you're all in, right? Yeah, I'm really hoping. And I don't know about you guys. I've been playing some Mario Tennis recently. Just kind of, obviously tournaments open, getting blooper. I have found it really bad. The lagging has been real bad. I've actually lost a couple matches. That's at least what I'm telling myself, because of the lag. Anyone else experiencing it?
Well, that's the reason why I didn't buy Mario Tennis Aces. I played the demo, saw that the lag was bad, and people were like, "Oh, don't worry, it's just a demo." But I mean, this is Nintendo we're talking about. Every time they've released a demo and the internet connection's been bad, it's carried on to be bad in the game afterwards.
Yeah.
So I didn't buy Mario Tennis Aces for that reason. If they fix that, maybe I'll consider picking it up later. But I'm going to be the negative person and say that I don't think that this is going to sort out those problems. I think that it's just an online service. It's going to be like improvements to the news channels, the free game sort of thing. They might actually stick another game on the app, on the voice chat app. I don't think it's going to boost servers in the slightest. I think that's just one of those things.
Okay, that's fair. Gary, I appreciate your honesty. It breaks my heart, though. Breaks my heart. Cool. All right, let's move on to our last kind of quick discussion. While we were gone, guys, Nintendo announced a new Labo kit arriving September 14th. It is Drive, Dive, and Fly with the new Labo kit. You have the ability to build a car, a submarine, and a plane. Guys, what do you think of this new Labo kit? And are you excited for it? Are you going to pick it up? Probably Gary, not you. And Jesse, this is probably right out your alley. But what do you guys think of Labo and their continuation of it?
Jesse?
I'm glad someone will want it.
That's fair, right? Much like any JRPG. I'm glad that somebody likes those things.
Yeah.
I
mean, you rewind a bit before I joined Nintendo Dads properly, and I said, I said some things about Labo, like I wouldn't end up getting it or anything like that. And what's this?
How convenient.
I ended up having Labo. It was actually gifted, so I didn't buy it like I said I wouldn't. And I did not build anything apart from the RC car.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I'll give this a miss as well. Like I was going to originally with this. Now it's because I wanted the keyboard so bad. Why I've got that, but this looks like the best kit, and I think that opinion is shared with a lot of people. Like the software actually looks really, really good. Like with the giant robot, the suit looked cool, but the software didn't look so good. This actually looks like a better all-round package as a whole. It's got variety like the variety kit has, but it's got big pieces and a better piece of software. So maybe this is the time for Labo now.
Yep. I would tend to maybe agree with that. And I think Gary, I do think the software here looks much more engaging, much more gamed. It looks like, right? Like you've got a car that you can drive around, a sub, a plane that's shooting balloons. I mean, it looks definitely more engaging for sure. Or maybe I'm going to say this, maybe targeted at an older demographic or an older age of children. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think definitely. I mean, we've all played games as well, especially as a kid, where you just fly around the map. I mean, Diddy Kong Racing was one for me, where you just drive or fly around the world map. This is essentially that as a game for the kids, by the look of it.
Yep.
So I know that when I was younger, I would have absolutely killed for it. so I'm sure it'll do well. I'm sure this one will do probably better than the others.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll definitely be very interesting. And I know, Jesse, you didn't have any Labo experience. For me, for the Labo experience, and kind of maybe a little bit like you, Gary, we did build a couple items. We built the RC cars. We've almost finished the fishing rod, and then the rest of it is packed away in the box in my office where I have all the Nintendo stuff as a rainy day event. Right? It's rainy. Yeah. We're gonna pull it out here and build it together. So as opposed to I know like Marty and Zach kind of did like a OD'd on Nintendo Labo over a weekend where they were just building tons of cardboard really fast. We kind of sparsed it out over with our family. But I do think for my kids, especially my two girls looking at this, I don't think this gets them as excited as the piano, right? As the playhouse, as the fishing rod, just because of the age. But I think, it's great to see Nintendo continue this. I don't think we're shocked. So we are still not seeing some of the original designs that they advertised in the Labo, including I think it was like a camera, a bird of some type. So there is still some stuff there as well. But again, Nintendo Labo, the Drive, Dive, and Fly kit hits store shelves on September 14th. So you can probably pre-order that in some places right now if you haven't already. If you guys are going to get Nintendo Labo, if your family is going to be, let us know in the comments below. Are you excited for it, or send us a message on Twitter as well, guys. Go ahead.
The one thing I am kind of worried a little about this third set is the people who bought the first two, and as Josh eloquently puts it, I was excited for it, bought it, and played it for an hour, and then got bored.
Yeah.
So wondering if people who did get bored early on will just opt out of this one. Nice.
Could be. Could absolutely be. It'll be interesting to see the retention rate. I'd love to, I'm sure if I dove deep into those sales numbers, I could find Labo sales as well. I'll definitely check that out. Also, just want to do a quick thank you to Shell Shock Prime. Shell Shock Prime, thank you so much for becoming a latest Patreon subscriber as well. We greatly appreciate that. See, it happens in real time. I love this kind of stuff. Jesse, you've got a couple really quick little news items in here. Do you want to give us any headlines on those, or do you want to just move on?
I didn't put anything in here, so I'm not sure what's in here.
Gary, this is you.
Yeah, I put a few in. Obviously, the Sega has to be mentioned at some point. They're continuing to look into investing in reviving old franchises. Now, the only thing I'm bothered about is a game called Project Rub, which was a DS game. You guys might know it as Feel the Magic XXXY, which was amazing on the DS. Yeah, I mean, that's self-explanatory. There's nothing really to talk about that. We're probably going to get a Monkey Ball, maybe a Crazy Taxi. And also, Nintendo applies for trademarks, which comes up time and time again. This time it's for other games which some people might not have played. Endless Ocean's one of them, and Another Code, which I don't know if you played Another Code. That was a DS game as well, like a point-and-click adventure. It was really cool. So it'd be nice to see that come back around at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. All right. Anything else there? No, I think we're right. Just before we jump into what we've been... Actually, you know what? No, this segues very nicely into what we've been playing. Jesse, you got a bumper for that?
I think so. Let me see if I can find it.
You got that sound. You make that sound system go, Jesse. Awesome. And just before we jump over to what we've been playing, I do want to say thank you very much, Josh Thomas. I see you in the chat here saying Labo sold 1.4 million worldwide. Thank you. I appreciate that. And that's combined sales for both games. Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Keeping us honest. I appreciate that. And yes, the music did go through, Jesse. It sounds fantastic.
Well, you heard it through Skype. I'm asking if the listeners, if the YouTube went through on YouTube.
Tim, our Patreon community manager, is there. He's like, yes, he's keeping us honest. He keeps us, you know what? He keeps us going every single day. Gary, you've been playing some stuff. You were in an event. Nintendo invited us to an event. You showed up. Of course you do. Like, second week on the job, we're like, Gary, we need you traveling, and you go because you're awesome that way. Gary, what happened this last weekend?
So yeah, I mean, back to another event in England because we're full of them all the time, constantly events, non-stop, and they're all fairly easy to get to. So Nintendo invited us to their UK Versus, which is basically their esports event, and they had tournaments for ARMS, Splatoon, Fortnite, and a few other games there as well. And they also had a few games which aren't released yet for you to play. Now, some of them were just like on the floor, like for anyone to play, but there was also a little press room there as well. So we got to play a few games which definitely aren't out yet. So let's go through a few of these games. You guys have heard of a small little game. I'm sure you might have heard of it, called Dark Souls.
No,
Maybe.
tell me more about Dark Souls.
I hear it's the Dark Souls of Dark Souls games.
It definitely is, yeah. So that was there, playable in handheld mode, and it runs fantastic. It kind of makes me wonder if it's very close, or if this is the old demo and the reason why it's delayed was some other reason, or there's a glitch down the line. But really, honestly, quite impressive. I don't know what else to say. I mean, everybody knows what Dark Souls is, and it's just basically Dark Souls on the go, so it's all good. From there, I got to play a small little game coming out called Overcooked 2.
Oh, I hate you so much. I want to be playing this game right now.
And a lot of vegetable throwing happened because I forgot that was a button now.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, Overcooked 2 is essentially what I think you'd expect it to be. It's basically Overcooked and a little bit more. So the stages are a bit more crazy. There's more recipes. There's sushi making, and there's even levels which change halfway through. So not only do the stages change in their layout. So I played the hot air balloon one, which I'm sure people have seen in the advert. That changes to a floor-based kitchen about halfway through. Except when it changes, you also get another plate added to it, so you get more workstations with more food prep. So yeah, it basically just more of the same, but pumped up to max.
Yeah.
Really cool. Really enjoyed that. And
Overcooked 2 comes out this Tuesday, August 7th, and is currently available for pre-order right now in the eShop. And I believe you get an exclusive. If you pre-order it, you get some chefs early and an exclusive Nintendo Switch chef as well.
Yeah, Duck Blood Platypus.
Yes.
Everybody knows that screams Switch.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing screams Switch like a platypus.
So from there, I got to play Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, which is also out this month.
Yeah, and tell me about this. Now, I'm not a Monster Hunter fan, but you seem to be really into this stuff, right? Just like Jesse's into bad RPG games, you seem to be into this. So tell me more.
That was unfair on Jesse. Look at his poor face. Yeah, basically, for anyone who's ever played a Monster Hunter game, and anybody who hasn't, it's basically you get 4 people together, whether it be online or local, or you can go on some solo adventures. But really, Monster Hunter is all about the connectivity, so it's all about the multiplayer aspect. And you go and basically do nothing but boss fights almost, except for a few boring missions like collect mushrooms. But the majority of the game is basically a giant boss fight, which can last anywhere up to I think it's 45, 50 minutes.
Wow.
And yeah, this was a 4-player demo, all in handheld again. And for anyone who doesn't really know, this has been out for a long time in Japan. It was almost release, I think, just a couple of months after. And we always get them a little bit late. So this was originally a 3DS title. So we got Monster Hunter Generations on 3DS. This is they sort of expand the game in Japan, but we never get the original normally. But this time we've got both. And then they sort of add all this DLC on and then release it as another package. So this game will be huge. It'll be massive. And the demo I played, I'm fairly confident will be out in the eShop soon. Nothing's been confirmed, but they normally do that with the Monster Hunters, and this is the demo in the same style as all the old Monster Hunter demos, so I'm fairly sure that you'll get a taste of it yourselves in a couple of weeks.
Awesome.
So, yeah, really looking forward to that one. That was actually one of the games I enjoyed the most there. And then we've got to play a really small game now. Really small. Starring a lot of Nintendo characters. I think it calls something like Smash Brothers Ultimate.
I think I've heard of that one.
Yeah, so we got to play Smash Brothers Ultimate. Ridley was playable, so was the Inkling. All the characters were not. It was limited. I think it's the same as the E3 demo.
I was going to say, it sounds like the E3 build.
so there was some new levels in there. Snake was also playable as well, by the way. So there's a few new characters, a limited roster, but I mean, to be fair, that's kind of a given, being as the game's probably not finished yet. So quick thoughts. I did put out a video on this already. Ridley's a really cool character. I was expecting Ridley to play a lot different to the way he does. He's actually more of a heavyweight character in the way he controls. He's a bit slow, a bit stumbly, but he's really powerful. And the Inkling is kind of crazy because it's one of those characters where it's actually quite hard to play as an Inkling, and that's because of the ink mechanic. But you know, as soon as somebody's got that down, that they're going to be dangerous.
Right.
So we got to play on some of the new levels, like the Wind Waker, the Breath of the Wild inspired level, and also actually Breath of the Wild Link was playable, and it's kind of strange because he's so familiar yet he's different. That like every once in a while you would sort of go to use the hook shot, and then you're like, oh, there's no hook shot. So, right. But yeah, I mean the game is fast and frantic. It's basically it feels like it's sort of, if Nintendo didn't do the Wii never existed, but they did a hardcore gamers console, so they essentially had the Xbox during that era. This would have been the natural progression from Melee, I feel.
Okay.
So it's definitely faster than Smash 4 and Smash Brawl. There's a lot of quality of life things on there, like small things as well. Like when you go out of the box towards your death, you actually get this like little mini map showing where people are, which is good for when it gets frantic. And we also got to play with the new Smash Brothers branded controllers as well.
Were those the ones from PDP, or are those the official Nintendo licensed ones?
No, the official licensed ones.
So and those are going to be using through the USB. Yeah, the whole. Okay, how did that work out for you?
That, you know what, I did say this in the video I put out the other day, and I didn't actually double check like I said I would, but they felt slightly different to how I remember a GameCube controller being. Like, they felt incredibly comfortable, but I think that is actually how the GameCube controller probably felt. And the one thing that I did notice is the rumble is really strong in those.
Okay.
But I remember the GameCube being like that anyway. So basically, it's just a GameCube controller. If you played with a GameCube controller, you know what you're getting for. Kind of surprised you that it's not just a USB end on this, and that it's just a normal like GameCube controller.
I played most of my GameCube with my Wavebird, which I don't think had rumble. So
no.
Rumble is a new feel for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind. It's kind. I just can't. I'm quite baffled by the fact that it's still got the original GameCube end on it. Like, I just, if it was a USB, I would go out and get one straight away. But I'm probably going to give it a miss.
Now this week, actually, PDP, I believe it was, announced that they are issuing out Nintendo GameCube controllers for Smash as well, and it appears to be officially licensed by Nintendo as well, with a 10-foot, I believe, USB cord associated with it. So it is USB. It's not in through the sorter or the Wii sorter as well. So that could be an option for people as well. I may do that. Like I won't have 4 people showing up probably with their GameCube controllers porting in. So I don't know.
Yeah. Also, I do believe that Power A have got some coming as well.
Yeah.
Which are officially licensed. I mean, these are the usual companies that get officially licensed stuff from Nintendo. And Power A, in all fairness, they do a fantastic job. I've got one of their controllers, so yeah, it's definitely something to look out for. Oh, and speaking of controllers, I got to play with another controller, which you guys might have not got your hands on yet. Yeah, it's a Pokeball shaped one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I got my hands on the Pokeball Plus, and Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and just to start with this, Nintendo was extremely strict. Like, there was no photos, no videos. We couldn't do certain things. We couldn't click the top button on the Pokeball. So just to get that out of the way,
I think they had the same restrictions at E3 as well.
Yeah, I believe they did. And yeah, it's honestly, I really liked Let's Go. I would actually say that this was the game of the show for me, even though we only played Viridian Forest for you guys who played the original games, and we couldn't go. I believe we couldn't go into the party to see all the stats and things like that. We could change them during the match, but we couldn't go into options. There was a lot of things we couldn't do, but it's a really cool game. Like, the one thing I've wanted from Pokemon for a long time has been a mix-up in the gameplay styles, because every time a new iteration comes out, the fans get really excited, which I obviously can't blame them. But for me, the one thing has been that the gameplay never changes. Like, never, ever, ever changes. And I think that's the reason why Final Fantasy does it, is to keep things fresh. And this, to me, is the best of both, because sometimes you just don't want those random encounters and stuff like that. But I kind of feel this is a lot more true to the animes and stuff, where you see Ash just go out, throw Pokeballs at something, and he's got them without fighting them. There is fighting in it. There is normal turn-based combat, but it's only like trainers and gym leaders. And I believe there is the occasional Pokemon as well, which I'm going to guess is the legendaries. But it looks great. It's smooth. It's a nice nostalgia hit, definitely. With this little twist of, being unique and new. And the one thing that's the biggest takeaway from it is that to catch a Pokemon, you have to use motion controls. Now, didn't play this with the normal Joy-Con. I only played it with the Pokeball Plus. And that also does bring up one kind of weird thing about the Pokeball Plus, is that you sort of hold it with the red part towards the TV when you throw it. And if you've got it on a tilt, then the ball will go off in a different direction. So it is quite sensitive. But obviously you could use the usual, this isn't a finished build sort of thing. I'm sure they will look at that, because that's got to be some feedback that they're going to get.
Is that like throwing a curveball like you can in Go?
No, it's sort of, if you hold it like to the left of the TV, say, and you throw it towards the TV, it will go to the left of the TV. You have to have it like lined up. It's hard to explain, but it's kind of strange. But overall, the controller is really nice. It's a lot weightier than it looks, but it is also a lot smaller than it looks. I mean, I've got teeny tiny little hands, and it's. I
can attest for that. I've seen his actual hands in real life. They're like small baby hands.
Yeah, that controller looked tiny in Reggie's hands.
Yeah, it really is. It is tiny, and the analog stick, which is on the button of the Pokeball, is really small and quite sensitive. But that is also the main button. Like, you click that in to select moves and stuff like that. And that lights up as well as you catch a Pokemon.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting as you're talking about the ball, the size, the shape, right? That we do have to remember again that probably the target audience for this is children, right? Yeah. Not full-grown 35-year-old adult men, right? So
definitely. I mean, and even that goes down to, like, you put on a wrist strap, and there's this like little ring that is on it as well, and you put that on your finger, and it went about. I mean, as we've said, little tiny hands. I only went about halfway down my hand. Down my finger. So yeah, it's definitely obviously not really made for us, except, to be honest, it's quite expensive for a kids thing. But I mean, it's, it was very loud at that event, but I did get a chance to hear a Pokemon inside it, which is so strange as well. And like it does this little like HD rumble movement, like it's rocking backwards and forwards. Honestly, just blown away by that little controller. I think it's so cool.
Nice. So Let's Go Pokemon Eevee was your kind of game of the show then, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And speaking of game of the show, probably my second biggest takeaway, as I've already said, I like new. So Smash, it's cool, it's awesome. It's kind of more of the same, natural evolution going on. Fans of the series are going to really enjoy it. Probably the best version of Smash, I believe. But there was something else new, and also another controller to play with. So this is Starlink Battle for Atlas, which you guys might know from Ubisoft. And you've got a Fox McCloud and Arwing toy that goes onto the controller. And you get to switch out little parts. It's like a Toys to Life. You get to switch the wings and the guns, or even the entire ship, or the pilot, or whatever you want. And it changes on the game. So, before we start, people have seen this already, so I'm sure. It is like, it's been compared to like No Man's Sky, which is a good comparison in a way, because you fly through a universe, you go to a planet, it's seamless, there's no loading. But at the same time, it's not really a space shooter either, which a lot of people think. It's more of an RPG. It really is more of a real-time RPG. So basically, you fly through space like you would in, say, like No Man's Sky, and then you sort of have, you can have dogfights in the air and stuff against enemies, but then you can go into the planet and you burst through the atmosphere and you end up there, and then your ship does this little hover thing. Like, you can free fly, but you can set it to hover, and it literally kind of, it reminds me of the mech suits from Xenoblade Chronicles X. Now, I didn't get very far in that game, but I've seen a lot of footage of it. So it sort of does this hover and locks onto enemies, and you can swerve around them and shoot. And yeah, I mean, the demo was really long. I mean, it must have been like, I must have been playing for about half an hour, I'm sure. Really, honestly, really impressed with the game. Really enjoyed it. It's again, it's quite refreshing to have this sort of spaceship / RPG thing going on. But I think the questions that a lot of people have about this is the toys to life. So the first thing I asked is it true about the digital versions? And yes, you can buy the guns and stuff digital, and if you put the toys on, they also unlock digitally. The controller itself is like a custom Joy-Con grip, so the two Joy-Cons like snap into it, and it's got a little stand in the middle, which is where the ship goes. And you put the pilot on first, and they're on these little bases, and then the ship goes over the top. Now, the cool thing about that is the ship's windows actually line up with the pilots, so you can see the pilots inside the ships. And there's a variety of different ships there. They're really good build quality. They kind of feel like, you know, when you get these kits that are sort of like Gundam or stuff like that, like sort of Airfix models, but they're pre-painted, like pre-plasticky sort of, you know, molded plastic, and they're sort of glossy. It feels like those, so they're extremely lightweight. Like the thing didn't get heavy at all. And they snap together using these little ports that they're similar to like a USB-C port. You can put anything anyway around in them, and everything stacks as well. So you put your pilot in, you put the ship on, and then you put the wings on if you want to choose some wings, and then you can put wings in the wings and wings in the wings of the wings, so you can keep stacking them. And then you choose your guns as well, and anything can go backwards. So if you want your R-wing to be backwards winged, you can do that. Put the wings on backwards, it still flies. You put the guns on backwards if you're getting, you know, if you're in a heated fight and you're getting surrounded, you can switch them around so you can have one forward facing, one rear facing. There's a collection of guns there, like from like a warpole gun to missiles and big Gatling guns. And just really impressed with the build quality and the way that it all works. And now this game really is RPG, like I said, so there's a lot of sort of, everything's got something to build up and level up and get better and better, including the pilots. They have their own skills, the guns, you can assign stuff to them, the wings, all sorts, and everything's mix and match.
Very cool. So do you feel like, after your experience, like, was this on your radar before the event, and is it now, and do you think it'll be something to pick up?
It was on my radar before Fox was shown, so it was last E3, not the one just gone, the one before that. So I've always been interested in this, but after playing it, I'm sold. It's done.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm interested in the other ships as well. I mean, one of the cool things is I put different wings on the R-wing. I put wings from another ship on it, and that thing flew. Like, it was so fast. So everything will change things quite a lot.
So changing up the wings does change the physics of the flights?
Oh yeah, definitely. Everything's weighted and sort of, everything's stat-based. So, and like I say, you can keep stacking them, but you've got to be conscious of the weight of the ship as well, because it will slow things down.
Gotcha.
Right, cool. So
I'm glad they thought that far ahead.
I'm going to take a little second to think now, because I'm sure there was something else I got to play, but I just can't quite remember what it was. But I mean, the event was awesome. Like, Nintendo UK, they do a fantastic job. They always have a great stage presence. Their hospitality is outstanding. Like, they gave everyone drinks and stuff like that. So, really cool event. Happy to have gone. So thank you to Nintendo UK for that. And yeah, another great experience. And honestly, guys, if you ever get to go to one of these Versus things, just do it. Like, watching people play on a professional level is amazing. Like, I played a few friendly matches with a few people who brought their Switches and got completely owned, like, completely. So yeah. And should we get on to some other things? Should we do a quick fire what we've been playing? Because
yeah, I like it. Yeah, let's do that. Gary, let's jump right into quick fire what we've been playing. Let's start off with Jesse. Very quickly, 2 minutes or less. What have you been playing that's new that you want to talk about?
Okay, well, I have very little that's actually new, but I did want to talk about a few things that happened during my vacation.
Sure.
So, So there was one night when we got to play some Jackbox games with the family, and we did the normal ones. But near the end, when we lost a few people, I go, "There's this Bomb Corp game that I've never gotten past day 2 before. I wanted to see what happens." There was 3 of us that played. We actually got to day 5.
Nice.
I have a feeling it's the last day, just because it makes sense to be a work week. But we couldn't clear that to know for sure. But it was fun to actually get some progress in that weird game.
Okay.
Then one of the other things I did while I was on vacation is I brought with my projector that I can plug in. It's the Switch dock in.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it sideways, and I was able to play Donkey Kong on an 8-foot wall.
Nice.
In Tate mode.
That's awesome.
So that was entertaining. So also, while I was on vacation, I noticed there was some damage in my 3DS on the top screen. So I had to send that off to repair, and I'll get that probably next week. And hopefully I get the same unit back fixed, because that's my SNES unit. Because they said there is a chance that they would have to, if they do a replacement, I'll just get a regular black one.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh. Yeah. They actually did check to see if it's possible, if they did have to give me a replacement, if they copy my stuff over so I have a working unit and still give me the dead unit or back. They said no, they can't do that.
That sucks.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that they have the proper spare parts to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So I should know more. If probably 2 weeks next.
Yeah.
Because I think next week's show probably won't be too soon. The last thing new is a game that came out today on the Switch, Picross S2. So 2 weeks ago we talked about I forget the full name, but basically the Hello Kitty Picross on 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
And they added a new part to Micross that you had to unlock pieces in the regular game before you can do the Micross. Picross S2 does kind of the same thing, but it's no longer called Micross. It's called Clip Cross, I think, or Clip Picross. So it's similar in that it's smaller puzzles that'll fit together to be a big puzzle at the end, but they're not all 10 by 10s. They're sometimes 5 by 5s, sometimes 10 by 15s or 5 by 15s. So they're all various sizes, and when you finish them, then it'll make something bigger. So other than that, the regular Picross mode and the Mega Picross modes are still there.
Nice. Yeah, I was afraid we were going to lose you to the world of Picross, so it's good to see you been able to take a break from that and join us. So It's great. Awesome. Gary, well, you WarioWare Gold.
Yeah, so I got WarioWare Gold. It was out in Europe a week earlier than it was in the Americas, and it's basically a return to form for WarioWare. Now it's not a greatest hits collection that people seem to sort of think it is. It's actually a bit more than that. You got original games and stuff, but it is a greatest hits in a different way, because you've got all the returning play styles pretty much. So you got like a touch section, a tilt section, a normal button section, which they like to call mashed. But I can't stress enough that it is a new game. There's a story mode which is all fully voice acted, and that is incredibly strange, as Marty said on the last episode 2 weeks ago. Hearing Wario fire away sentences, just strange to start with. But once you get into it, the voice acting is actually pretty good. And yeah, I mean, some of the Nintendo stuff, there's unlockables in there. Like, you can unlock Nintendo's history and things. They're all pretty cool. There's extra mini games unlockable as well. Few little things which I found strange was there's like this multi mode where like you normally select which playstyle you want, but then later there's modes which you'll switch them up. I didn't like those as much because they're quite fumbly. Like you know, you're like, oh, touch, well, quick, like. You've got no chance of getting the stylus out. You have to use your finger. Bit confusing with that. There's also a mode where Wario tries to distract you, which was more irritating than fun. Like
that's why you start the game with the stylus in hand and go back and forth between regular controls with stylus still there. And
yeah,
that's how I did the demo.
Unfortunately, I've got the new 2DS XL, which comes with a toothpick, so instead of a stylus. But yeah, I mean,
I don't use the stylus that comes with it. I'm trying to find where's mine. I lost it somewhere. But it's basically shaped like a regular pen.
Oh, I've seen. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, they did actually 3DS branded ones of those at some point as well. Like, but yeah, I mean, it's a really good game. Like, if you ever enjoyed a WarioWare, then I'd definitely recommend picking it up. It is on the short side, really. I mean, 300 mini games goes past very, very, very fast. So you have to be one of those sort of people who likes to replay things, get high scores, get the unlockables. Then you'll get your most out of it. The story mode, like I said, where it's good is less than 2 hours. I think it's about an hour and a half for me to complete. But I really enjoyed my time with it. And other than that, I've completed Sonic Mania Plus on the Encore mode, which was fantastic. I mean, console wars aside, let's forget that those were a thing, because I never really compare the console wars. Even now, PlayStation, fine. Xbox, fine. Sonic Mania Plus is an incredibly good game. And in my opinion, a must-have to anybody who likes platformers. And also, that is the only Switch game I played this week, because I brought Mario Maker 3DS, being it was only like £12 in a sale on 3DS. And that game gets way too much flack, because if you just like playing Mario levels, then this is basically the roguelite of Mario games. It downloads the Wii U levels to it. You just can't search them by ID. So you basically have an unlimited Mario game, unlimited levels. Okay, some of them are troll levels and stuff, but since nobody's really playing Mario Maker other than the hardcore now, all the levels I've played have been fantastic. You've had none of the terrible, like, you know, really bad super simple levels or the super trolley levels. Like, every level I've played on it's been really good. Also, there's 100 Nintendo made levels in there which have submissions as well. So, as a one-player Mario game anyway, easily worth like the £15 to full price now in England. So that's what, just under $20.
I did hear on another podcast that it's become it's a Nintendo Select title now in the UK. I don't think they did that here yet, but if they do, I might get it just for the extra the 100 levels.
Yeah, just for the 100 levels alone, it's good. But it's still got the other modes, like the 100 Mario mode, where it downloads levels off the Wii U, and you have 100 lives to get through. It's still got all that stuff on there. It's just the fact that the only downside is to it is that you can't use the amiibo stuff, and you can't search for other people's levels. But I'm sure everybody knows this because it's old now. It's old news. It's gone. But I've just been really enjoying that, so I wanted to highlight that.
Nice, very cool, very cool. And of course, I just want to highlight a couple things, actually. We'll do this first. I've been playing 2 new games. I've been playing Flat Heroes. This is a ton of fun. This is a minimalistic, simple designed multiplayer madness game with a tremendous first player or single player action. You're a small cube that needs to survive these kind of platform puzzles every single time without dying. It's got some Super Meat Boy-esque elements where you die and you're instantly back in the game. It is a ton of fun. Gary, you and I played this at EGX last year. You enjoyed this, yeah?
Oh, yeah, it's really fun. Like, we played 4-player on it as well.
Oh, 4-player madness.
And it was just, it's crazy. Like, such a good party game. It looks so minimalistic, you could overlook it, I suppose.
Yes. Yep.
Do not overlook it. It's incredible party game.
You know, absolutely. And the party can be as much as just you and one other person, you and 2 people, or you and three additional, so 4 people. My mom is over here visiting me in Ireland, and we sat down and played some matches together, and a ton of fun. Even in the single player campaign, you can play with other players in there. So there's a lot of options. This is a really great couch co-op game, great family game. It's a ton of fun, obviously. I would highly recommend picking it up. Flat Heroes. It's out right now. It's got an online leaderboard as well. This was on my radar for like a year. You need to do this one. Pick it up. Next one I'm going to talk about is Iconoclast. If you like 16-bit Metroidvania platformers, this is a fantastic game. I have been playing it and have been really, really enjoying it. You essentially are playing as a mechanic who is being told not to fix things, but you're kind of like a Robin Hood of a mechanic, and you want to help the poor people and help and fix their problems. There is some great dialogue, some big themes regarding helping people and some religion, and the controls are really tight. It's a really, much like any Metroidvania game, you'll find an area that like, oh, I can't fully access that yet. I need X thing. I need to upgrade my tool, my wrench. It's just a ton of fun. Again, if you enjoy Metroidvania platformer games that feel like they were built in the Super Nintendo era, at times when I was playing it, I was like, this reminds me of Axiom Verge at times. And this was a one-man team. It took them like 7 years to develop it. This is Iconoclasts, out now. Both Flat Heroes and Iconoclasts are out now and available in the eShop. Both of them I would highly recommend and pick them up. They're on our YouTube channel, and there is a review for WarioWare Gold on our YouTube channel as well. So if you're thinking, hey, there's nothing to play in the eShop right now, go check out those reviews and pick up at least one of those two games. I would absolutely highly recommend it. Now, of course, Gary, those are not all the games that are coming out soon. There's a couple things that you want to highlight as well to keep our eye on. What are they? What are they, sir?
Yeah, so a couple of noticeable releases this week. It's actually quite a big one for Nindies and stuff this week, in my opinion. We've got Overcooked to start with, Overcooked 2, as we already talked about, like a huge game, really, it was really popular. On top of that, we got Dead Cells and Flipping Death launching the same day. Now, Dead Cells I got to see at EGX Rest. Awesome game, really, seriously keep your eye out for that one, like retro-inspired platformer. It's roguelike, I believe, as well. I need to double-check my facts on this one. And that's also... Okay. Flipping Death by Zoink Games. If you guys ever played Stick It or heard of Stick It to the Man, also got to play this one at EGX Res. It's basically a comedy-driven puzzle platformer, I suppose is the best way to say it, where you in Flipping Death you're playing as a girl called Penny who ends up basically being Death's assistant, and you have to sort of solve all these problems in like a modern twist on a point-and-click adventure, except its art style is amazing. It's fully voice acted in sort of this like quirky, really comedy-driven way, and you have to flip the world around between the land of the dead and the land of the living to help to solve the problems on both ends. So it's a really, really cool game. Probably easily one of my top 5 standouts of the of EGX Res earlier in the year, so definitely check those out.
Yeah, and absolutely is. And for Flipping Death as well, folks, we're big thanks to our friends over at Zoink Games who actually got us an early access to it. Marty's been playing it for about the last 3 days or last couple days. So do expect some coverage of it when the embargo releases some Let's Play, so you can keep an eye on it. But this has been on our radar for a while. And of course, we've had Alex from Zoink Games on talking about it a couple times. This has been a big project for them. We're really happy it's finally launching for them and very excited as well. So Flipping Death, Dead Cells, and Overcooked 2 should be on your radar for next week. I don't know about you, but guys, my wallet's hurting, and we're not even in the middle of August yet. And of course, Gary, you mentioned here Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate also coming up here at the end of August. So ton of games here in August, guys, and obviously expect more stuff from Nindies that we're going to have announced in the coming weeks, I suspect, as well. All right, let's head over to Community Spotlight. We're going to actually take a couple of questions that were posed into us. We got a bumper for this, Jesse? Ask and thou shall receive. I appreciate that. By the way, top Ranma in our chat also says Okami HD. That's coming in August as well. Thank you for the reminder, keeping us honest. We greatly appreciate that. So we got a couple questions here. These were actually put out on Twitter a couple shows ago, and we do want to answer them as well. So we got this one in from John Blanco. John says, here's a silly question. You guys always talk about our backlogs that keep us from playing certain games. It's time to reveal them. I want to know the 5 to 10 games on each of the Nintendo Dad's backlog that they have, quote unquote, have not started. I will go first, actually. Or Jesse, do you got one? Do you got yours list available?
I do. Really? I actually have mine. I have a lot. My list is larger than I thought it was going to be. I actually have it broken down into subcategories.
Do you want to keep it to 5 or 10?
I'll try. So for games that I've not started. So I have Octopath Traveler, A Magical High School Girl. I bought that.
We're just going to keep moving on. Just keep moving on.
Quantum Shift, Unholy Heights, Bridge Constructor Portal, Blossom Tales, Draw a Stickman Epic 2, Brave Dungeon and Dark Witches Story Combat, Secret of Mana from the Super Nintendo Classic, and Twilight Princess HD on Wii U.
Okay, all right. Couple things that stand out for me that you need to do: play Shift Quantum and Blossom Tale. You need to play those. Those are awesome.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I'm sitting here with a Shift Quantum T-shirt on as well. So yeah, you definitely need to play that one. Yeah.
Where'd you get a Shift Quantum T-shirt from?
I won it.
Oh, that's right. You did.
I won it on Twitter. Yeah.
Nice. Gary, what's your list look like?
Okay, so the way that I tackled this one is I decided to do one game per console. Now, I have got more consoles than this, but I thought I'd strip it down to the 5. The only game I wanted to quickly mention on the Switch, because there's tons of them, is Doom, which is probably the biggest game that I own that I haven't started. But let's go right from the bottom. So we got Pikmin 2 on the GameCube, completed every other Pikmin. For some reason, Pikmin 2, it was that period in my life where I sort of stopped playing games for a while. So that's on the list. Freshly picked Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land on the DS, which is a European game. It wasn't out in the Americas. And that saved you because it's awful. But I did start it and I do want to complete it. So that's one of those things. Except the cart stopped working in my 3DS while I was playing it, so I had to stop. It does work in my new 2DS XL strangely, but I just haven't got back to it. I got Mario Galaxy 2 on the Wii, the only Mario mainline game that I have not completed. So every other single one I've done, just not Mario Galaxy 2, and it's because Yoshi in that infuriated me. Xenoblade Chronicles X, I started it for like the first 3 minutes and then stopped playing it and never got back to it, but I really want to. Not huge into that playstyle of games, that's why I didn't buy Xenoblade 2. Because I need to finish X first. And then Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia on the 3DS, which I picked up for a whopping £11 in the closing down sales of Toys R Us. And love the Fire Emblem games. Just, again, I mean, the Switch came out and just killed any chance of clearing any backlog ever.
Nice. All right. Well done, Gary. I will list out mine. So the first one is so this is all on my Switch. Kid Trip. I got this as part of getting the Miles and Kilo game, so I just haven't had a chance to do that. Inside, which I just purchased recently after hearing rave reviews of it coming out. It's caught my attention. Super Desdronauts DX, which is actually voice acted over by our good friend Mr. Barry Dunn. Fallout Shelter. It was free, so I grabbed it. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, which came out in June. As a backer, I got it and just haven't had a chance to jump into it yet. Disco Dodgeball Remix, wow. which was provided to us, and Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap.
Ah, so good. You need to get on that one.
It caught my attention and it was on sale, so I was like, I'm going to grab it now. That's what happens with some of these. I'm like, oh, it's on sale. I'll buy it now because I'm interested. And that's kind of it. So yeah, yes. Those are some of the backlogs.
Yeah, I mean, as a Sega fan growing up, Dragon's Trap, I owned it on the Master System, and that came out on my birthday last year. So I started and finished it on my birthday.
Dragon Trap is a Sega game?
Yeah, it was a Master System.
No, I'm going to delete it now.
Okay, that's gone. Bye.
Actually, I'm excited. They've got another one coming out. They've got another one coming out soon.
They have, yeah.
Yeah, that looks really good. Caught my attention. So I like that. Great question, John. We've got another question here from this is on Twitter. Shia Guy and says recent Nintendo sales have been impressive for both hardware and software, but if Nintendo did more fan service, do you think they'd be higher, or would the effect be minimal, such as themed Joy-Cons, virtual console games on eShop, other easy ways to appease fans? So Nintendo be making bank if they did more kind of fan servicey stuff. Do you think they'd make more money?
To be honest, I think they're kind of touching a decent limit with fan service. I think any higher and it'd be overwhelming. I mean, we're already getting crossovers into games, which is kind of getting out of hand now. You know, I mean, we've got Link in Mario Kart, Link in Smash, we got Link in Monster Hunter, we got Link in absolutely everything. Linkin Park, that was a thing as well.
That was great. Yeah.
Yeah, we've also, I mean, the fan service is really high. And the virtual console thing, I think, is tampering down now that we know that we're going to get those classic games pretty much for free as a bonus for the online service. They've been releasing the arcade archives, which is pleasing Jesse and the other sort of hardcore fans who wanted these arcade games to have some sort of release.
I'm still looking for Popeye.
Yeah, Popeye, yeah. So I think that the fan service is quite high as it is at the minute. Now, I understand the stuff like with the Joy-Cons and that we haven't got many varieties out of colours. I think they're trying to stop the branding quite as much on stuff like that. I mean, the third parties have been doing the branded controllers with the characters on. So there is controllers out there. And, yeah, I mean, I kind of think that if they went more fan servicey, it would be overwhelming.
Yeah, Joy-Cons are pricey to have custom units. Limited editions.
I've got to give a quick shout to some controllers here. Just a split second, sorry. Tesco in UK have got the red and blue Joy-Cons for £30 for the pair.
Wow.
£30 for the pair. They're normally, what, 70, 79, something like that?
70 sounds about right for pounds.
Yeah, sold out in every Tesco that I went in to try and pick up a pair, but still. And also, if you're in the UK, Retro Gamer Magazine, if you subscribe to 6 months issues, you get a free 8-bit No NES controller, so that's another thing to look out for. But back to the question, I'm so sorry, I just had to do that because there's a lot of offers in England at the minute. Yeah, that's my opinion on it. Is any more fan service, it'd be a little bit too much over the edge.
Yeah, that's fair. Jesse, what about yourself?
Yeah, I think the problem with that I've had with these more like limited editions, like the 3DSs, is I don't want any more 3DSs unless I got the SNES one because the other one was getting old or was having problems. But they put out a Zelda one a month after I bought it, a new one. I'm like, I don't want another one. And as I said earlier about the Joy-Cons, if they did limited edition Joy-Cons, that'll be pricey for those who do collect them. So I normally don't go for stuff like that sort of thing, but I'm sure if they did, it'll sell.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great question. Thank you very much. Next one we've got last question, and we're going to wrap up the show then. Dakota IRL says, if Nintendo moved to an only software company and made games for PS4 and Xbox, what would you think would change? So again, if Nintendo was no longer a hardware but only software, and their software went to PS4 and Xbox, how might that change? That's a deep question.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see games like 1-2 Switch as much.
We're
not going to see stuff like Labo. We wouldn't see all the experiments, all the weird games. They would turn into sort of like a more predictable company, I think.
Yeah, I think we probably would still see things like the Marios and the Zeldas that wouldn't change much. But again, the ones that he mentioned, that are the games that are designed around the gimmick that they can control in the hardware. Well, if they can't control it anymore, then that's kind of gone.
Okay, great.
So Josh is liking the idea of no 1-2 Switch or Labo.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, I think to your point, when they're no longer the hardware creator and just the software, I think their ability to be a bit more experimental falls to the wayside. I think it becomes more cookie cutter. I think you get the same kind of repressed of now it's I'm trying to think of an example of it, but it's Zelda 4, The Return of Link, or it's just very seasonal in some ways, and I don't think you get that level of creativity.
Yeah, I think we'll still get the Donkey Kong, we'll still get the Pikmin, we'll still get those type of games that really don't think changes as much.
Yeah, I mean, I think potentially you'd see more obvious crossover potentially between the client or between the characters as well. Maybe as we've talked about before, some of the barriers of Smash Brothers Ultimate is some of the third parties not being able to play ball. But I guess if you're selling your software to any hardware maker, then you may have that opportunity. So you could potentially see different crossovers, like all of a sudden, Mario shows up in a Halo game or for some odd reason, right? Or Samus shows up in a Halo game as a skin. I think you'd see some of those, but I do think that Nintendo would, I think, lose some of its creativity that makes it such a unique organization, a company that, and I wonder, from a parenting perspective, like Nintendo is the family friendly, right? Do they lose that when they would become into an Xbox or Sony? What do you guys think?
I think they can still keep it, as long as, they would definitely make it known in the box art, made by Nintendo, and have that still branding that's still unique compared to everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they keep the family friendly thing up as well.
Tim says Kratos and Smash.
There you go. Great. Awesome. Well, gentlemen, I think that is about a show. Let's start heading out. Of course, before we head out, we got some music to cue up here, do we not, Jesse? Before we head out, I want to have a huge thank you to our Patreon producers, Mr. Dave White, David Ernsberg, and Timothy Alf. Guys, thank you so much for being Patreon producers. Of course, thank you to every single one of our Patreon supporters. We greatly appreciate that as well. Of course, if you want to support us, head over to patreon.com/NintendoDads. If you want to follow us, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We own the space Nintendo Dads, so you can find us there very easily. Of course, if you want to email us in, go to nintendodads@gmail.com. Email me and tell me why we need to replace Gary Gray with somebody who actually loves Super Mario Odyssey more than ARMS. We would definitely appreciate that as well. You can go over to Twitch at twitch.tv/NintendoDads and head over to our YouTube channel, guys. Last week we were out on vacation, but I will tell you every single day for the last 7 days, we have put out a brand new video on our YouTube space. We will continue to do that. A lot of our content is going there. You want to check out the latest reviews, Let's Plays, our opinions, and why you need to buy games or what we think of upcoming events, head over to our YouTube space, click the subscribe button as well. We do have a voicemail. You can call us at 929-25-NDADS or 929-256-3237. You can leave a voicemail. We can play them on the show. The music you've been hearing, like you're hearing it right now, is big thanks to our friends over at OC Remix, which we greatly appreciate. So thank you very much for that. And of course, if you want to change the world, head over to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, hit that subscribe button, have the downloads occur. And of course, if you're there, if you want to review us, we'll absolutely take that as well. Big thanks to Carter Johnson and Adam Leonard for our amazing artwork. For myself, for Jesse, for Gary, for an absent Zach and an absent Marty, guys, be good, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Jesse, it just looks foolish when Gary and I are having a dance party and you don't dance. I'd like to see some like Madonna hands from you.
I'm concentrating on buttons.
He's being the guy in the nightclub who holds all the beers while the rest of it are out.
just does like the head beat dance.